Dada is a dum-dum.
Dum-dum. Yes?
That's the first statement I'm going to make in this video, because the statements that he made about hiring foreigners have led to what you're going to see now.
Residents are marching to Joburg Mayor Dada Morero's office to hand over their CVs. They say Morero's proposal to employ foreign nationals as traffic officers shows that there are job openings at the JMPD. Morero has since apologized for the proposal that came under fire for the suggestions that he made over the weekend. Newsroom Africa's Nqobile Madlala brings us those details live now from Soweto. Nqobile, thank you for joining us once again. Now, earlier on, the people of Soweto were complaining about their plight of unemployment, which obviously leads to a lot of the social ills that exist within those communities. Have they started making their way to Morero's office?
Well, Katleho, they are beginning to just sort of come together and speak to those issues that they are going to highlight. They haven't left just yet. The idea was that they're going to leave from 10 o'clock. What you see there is the numbers that are accumulating. You remember when we started, you at least were looking at about under 50 people. What they had told us is that they are expecting over 200 people that are going to be going to Dada Morero's office. And of course, this becoming the huge issue, mainly because they're saying that in Soweto, you face high unemployment rate. A lot of young people are at home. And I think what you see in front of me already gives you that testament that a lot of young people are at home and that they do need those jobs. And of course, at the same time, what we understand is that there's also part of the business sector within Soweto, which is also a major issue, because young people have also spoken about the fact that skills, so whether it's employment skills, whether it's businesses that they can start, it's what they're requesting, and that's what they want the city to start getting a move on. So, Alliance, I want to bring in now the young person that's also in effect been affected by unemployment. I want you to just stand there. If you can give us an idea, Mnedis, uyothini kume?
Ngiyothini okwami ngisho amagama amaningi kuncane, but into engifuna ukuyikhuluma ukuthi ngifuna kube nemisebenzi, sibe employed, and ngifuna ukubona ushintsho futhi kule government, ibe nendaba nathi, ibe necare nathi, sikwazi usicabangela nathi sazi ngoba singama citizens, not residents. So fanele yena ayenzo kwakhe. No, asivumi lento leyo, angivumi usenzo kwakhe afune ukuhire ama foreigners, ayekela ama civils. No, that's not right, because we are the ones simbekela phaya simvotele. So no, angivumi. So ngizomtshela ukuthi no, I'm demanding ukuthi sithole imisebenzi.
Thank you very much. Just briefly, Katleho, just an explanation there for a young person that he says that they're the ones that have voted for the mayor. So it's important that they also considered for jobs. Mama, uthema ufika la wasichazela ukuthi ingane zakho zezinye zabantu aba affected, and essentially ufike la uzosupporta neingane zakho.
Engifuna nje ukubeka uzwakale, ngikhathazekile ngeingane zami, ngikhathazekile nami ngempilo yami. Ngibambile esikoleni, ngivolunteer. Kuthiwa kuvolunteer abantu abavolunteerayo bazothola umsebenzi. Umsebenzi angutholanga. Kaphinda futhi ngabuya igame lesibili ngayo volunteer manje ekutheni ngiyakarapha isikole, ngisebenza kuthiwa sebenza hard kwenzela ukuthi ukhona ukuthi ubonala ukuthi uyasebenza uqashwe. Ngisebenze hard ngangahola ayimali bengatholi lutho, kodwa ngivuke endlini ngithi ngiyozamela ingane zami ukuthi ithi nginikele ngempilo yami nangegazi lami ukuthi ngikhona ukuthi ingane zami isebenze ifunde nazi mayifunda. Okay, ngaphinda ngathola ispace se EWP. EWP ngisebenzile kuyona. Bengihola 800. Uyi800 usupportana ubani ongathi 800 ezele nabatwana. Ngumama mina. Ubaba sendlini akasebenzi. Akekho ngamazi ukuthi akasebenzi. Number 2. Ngakhishwa lapho ku EWP ebengazi ukuthi mhlambe soba permanent ngoba besamba ama workshop. Sitshena ngumsebenzi, kodwa iworkshop yami yabafushu. kwaphinda kwaqala i-project ye-recycling. I-recycling buya kiyo iqala nje kwe-recycling iqale phambi kwami ngasebenza nganazi izandla zami kodwa ngitholanga lutho esikhundleni sokuba ngiqashwe kwathathwa abantu engingabazi engangithi noma ngithi ngiyababheka ngibatholi ukuthi obani ngahamba ngema-ofisini ase-pick it up i-pick it up ngaya khona ngathi kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi uqashwe abantu mina ngaqashwe bekade ngenza i-recycle kwathiwa angihambe ngiyofuna isibhilivani kukhansela ukhansela ngaya kuyena ukhansela wavela ngishaya nge-current.
Siyabonga kakhulu mama. I think what she's explaining to us now is just how hard people have to look for a job. She herself has been affected as a family member. She's saying that in her house, she doesn't work, her husband doesn't work, her children don't work. That even basically speak to the nuclear family that is affected because of the high unemployment. I mean, South Africa has just seen an increase in high unemployment. And what we're seeing here is young people that are currently unemployed, that are also coming together to try and raise their voices. And she's saying the same thing, that even though there are opportunities, she felt that she was one of the people that were not acknowledged at the time. And this is what they are saying as well, that they want to be acknowledged for that employment that the mayor is speaking about, saying that that means there is an opportunity for an employment and they need that alongside with the skills. That's what Black Entrepreneurs were saying, Alliance was saying, that there are skills as well that can be provided. There are entrepreneurs as well that can hire these people, but if you divide and you don't actually give one company. So these are things that they're going to be highlighting when they get to the mayor. There are 3 buses, Katleho, that are going to be leaving here in approximately 10:30.
I may be a bit late to this topic, but I think it's something that I should address. You see, the rate of unemployment is something that is of a concern here in South Africa. And I've actually made videos in the past about this problem. And there is a mayor of Johannesburg, of which Johannesburg is in shambles. It keeps on regressing. Year by year, we change mayors on, and all of them come in. And they literally, all of them, they're just dum-dums. Because if they were not, then there would have been significant and important changes happening. And I'm not excluding any Johannesburg mayor. Okay, it doesn't matter if they came from the DA, ANC, if they came from Al Jamaa or wherever. All of them just dum-dums. And you think about this, with so many unemployed youths in South Africa, you're going to come and say we need to hire more foreigners just because there is a problem of translations. There is a language barrier. While in Parliament there is also a language barrier, but we have capable translators that ensure that everyone can understand. Which was weird, but I digress. I think Dada, he made a very stupid statement. And with the march of the youth from Soweto going to his house and leaving CVs, he again makes another damn statement saying that they will respond in 14 days. And them saying they will respond in 14 days, we can play a little game. We can play a game of guesswork and say what is going to happen in 14 days. I'd like to make a prediction, and hopefully I'm wrong with this prediction. I hope they disappoint me with this prediction. But 14 days is going to come, and they're not going to hire most of the youth that they received and the CVs that they took. They're not going to hire most of them. And if they hire any of them, I highly doubt that that number is going to surpass 10 out of those kids that went to march. And in the same march, we had, I don't know the name of the guy, but let me put up a video of him.
I'm going to bring in now the Alliance, right, to speak to us about those things. And I understand that you're in the entrepreneur space. Tell us, what are you going to highlight when you get to the office?
So, thank you very much. Firstly, the fact that within the city there's other utilities. You pick it up, your Johannesburg Road Agency, your Johannesburg Water, your City Power. Now we know for a fact that there were jobs, 400 jobs that were lost, and the closing date for that advert was the 20th of June. Some of those people had applied for those jobs and they have not been taken on board. And you must remember, historically during COVID, there were people that were laid off. 400, the very 400 people within Pick It Up that were laid off. They never got reinstated. Now, speaking about this one of JMPD, remember there were young people in El Dorado Park and in Westbury, the colored young people that were never employed by the JMPD, and that issue was thrown under the carpet. So this demonstration simply says that young people that were not employed, they're also trying to become entrepreneurs. Now with entrepreneurs, we are also fighting to say law, it's broad-based black economic empowerment, not individual-based economic empowerment. This individual-based economic empowerment is a problem whereby you find one person getting a tender of 100 million, whereby as Black Entrepreneurs Alliance, we are proposing to aggregate the tenders. Instead of giving one person a tender of 100 million rand, we're saying give at least 100 entrepreneurs a tender of 100 million rand, which is, if you give 100 entrepreneurs, each of them are getting work worth 1 million rand. In effect, they create jobs. So that's how you do economic development. Within the city of Joburg, there's also a department and a unit called economic development, and this is a charge to the unit of economic development within the city of Johannesburg, and saying, look, it's a peaceful demonstration, but it's a cry to say people in South Africa are blacklisted, people in South Africa don't have jobs, people are racially profiled, especially black people, with regards to credit, with regards to getting jobs, with regards to comfortability in life. You as a journalist yourself, you got your own suffering with regards to the system that's oppressing us as entrepreneurs and as young people. So Oliver Tambo once said, a country that doesn't take care of these young people, it's doomed.
Yeah, thank you very much for speaking to us. That's Black Entrepreneur.
And yeah, as you can see, he is a part of an entrepreneurs association or of that sort in Soweto. And where he mentions that we have people receiving tenders of 100 million, and that being something that is wrong, I actually absolutely agree with him there, because how can one business or one entity receive that kind of a tender, and then you end up having this tender not being delivered upon? Because that has been the trend in South Africa. Some of the richest black people in South Africa are rich because of tenders. We know this, and they get these tenders through means of connection and corruption. We know this, right? About Mamkhize, we know that Mamkhize gets the tenders, and she's so wealthy because of tenders, and all of this happens through corruption and connections. We know this, right? I mean, if we don't know, then I guess I digress again. I'm not going to talk about that. But I have a concern, or let me just say maybe a question. Who is to say that if tenders are distributed broadly and they are given to multiple people within those who apply for these tenders, who is to say that the corruption will not continue? Because I think that everyone is just thinking for their stomach and their pockets. And even this guy, although seems to me to be genuine, he might also be that person who, if he receives a tender, he will shut up and no longer be one of these voices, because now his pockets are filled. And he may also not deliver if he gets tenders, depending on what tender he gets and what sector the tender is from. So that's the The other concern for me is that tenders are also awarded to people that sometimes do not even have the capabilities to deliver on these tenders. They sometimes are middlemen. They just register a company this month, and next month they have a tender because they paid for the tender, or they have a connection in that tender applications and receiving these tenders. I said in one of my videos previously that when it comes to getting wealthy through government, you do not have enough money to afford the corruption that is happening, because it's mostly through corrupt means. You don't have the connections to get these tenders. And my opinion is when it comes to tenders as well, if tenders are going to be awarded, they have to be awarded based on merit. And with me saying that they have to be awarded based on merit, the argument will be, of which would be actually valid argument. The argument will be that most of these tenders will actually not be broad anymore because who has more experience? When we speak of merit, we speak of experience. And largely, people with the most experience may be white people. And I say maybe because I also may be wrong about that. Will be white people and white-owned companies. And that may also actually introduce a problem and other complaints. But tenders should be awarded with merit, based on merit. And if a tender is not completed in a good and offending a few people. I personally don't think that the youth of South Africa really care that much about themselves. Because if they really cared that much about themselves, we would see them, we would have seen them on the 29th of May when voting was happening. And I will say this, I've also been a part of the problem by not voting. Because by us not voting, the people that are already voting and somehow have a loyalty to certain parties keep on voting in the parties that cause us problems. So that's number one. I don't think the youth care enough about themselves. They care enough to do these marches, go to Dam-Dam's house so that they can leave their CVs and complain about employment. But Dam-Dam doesn't care. And Dam-Dam is led by other Dam-Dams, being Abu Panyaza Sufi and Cyril Ramaphosa. Because these people will just pretend as though they are listening to your grievances, but actually not ever deliver on your grievances. And another thing that I have to say, in line of people not caring, and especially the youth not caring about themselves, is that they keep on looking towards the government to provide them with employment. And for the most part, it may be impossible to hire the millions of youth that are not employed. On top of that, we have the private sector, which the private sector to a certain extent also does not care about you and me, because what matters mostly for the private sector is the bottom line. So if hiring more of you is going to affect the bottom line, you may not be hired. You may remain unemployed. So it's incumbent upon everyone in the youth to take things into their own hand. Number one, vote for the right people. Register to vote and vote for the right people. Number two, do not depend on these people that you have voted for, because they're not going to provide employment for all of you. Whether John Steenhuisen promises jobs for everyone, it's not going to happen. And I've said this so many times, I keep on beating on a dead horse. In fact, I am even a bit annoyed. It's very sad that there are so many people that are unemployed. And it is very sad, unfortunately, that this is not going to stop now. But you see, with what Dam said, man, it just makes the situation much worse. It makes it more volatile, because now we are convinced that there are jobs available out there if they're going to be offered to foreigners. It's a problem that we have here in South Africa, and I don't really have much more opinion based on what is happening at the moment, but except just to say that we need to have better leaders, and us having better leaders is voting out the bad apples. And even when we have better leaders, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will do way better they will do a bit better, which that bit better will actually be very significant in comparison to what we have. The tender, going back to the guy who said that it creates more employment if tenders go to more people. I don't believe that, because there's already proof that tenderpreneurs don't care about creating employment. They care more about enriching themselves. And that's the problem we have in South Africa. And it's an ongoing problem that I don't think we are going to solve within the next 5 or 10 years. That's my opinion. I don't know about your opinion. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Salute.